for another Talk About It Tuesday. And the question I got today is going to really make you start thinking about how to analyze your decisions much, much better. So here's the question. A little lengthy on the background information, but it's critical to understand this. I'm a newly single mother of two. I'm a nurse and I make around $75,000 a year. I'm considered middle class. I'm comfortable but unfulfilled. I would rather have control of my time so I can educate my boys, cook for them, and eat dinner with them daily. I live in the suburbs and pay $1,350 in rent. I have a $130,000 student loan. I'm saving to buy a home. My intuition is telling me to buy one of those $10,000 homes in the hood and fix it up. And in a couple of years, save my money. I live in St. Louis, and the crime here is high. My boys are suburb boys, 3 and 8 years old, and I understand how environment is key to a child's success. So my question is, would you move to the hood to save money? All right. So, as you know, I don't give recommendations, especially something like this. This is a life-altering decision that will impact this woman and her children forever. And so I won't say directly yes or no. What I will do is give some things to think about, and then she'll have to make her own decision. So we're talking about St. Louis. And although we're talking about St. Louis, we could be talking about Baltimore, we could be talking about Philly, we could be talking about Detroit, because those are cities that are very similar in terms of their decline. When manufacturing and industry left those areas, you saw a rapid decline and a rapid loss of people because of the loss of jobs. And you saw housing that was once, great and supported by middle class families who worked in these industries suddenly become abandoned and continue to become abandoned for the last 40, 50 years. And so you see cities like that have not transitioned into technology or service industries, and they will continue to decline because there is not the political will to change it. There's no industry willing to come in, and even if the industry comes in, the people there aren't skilled. Like for a high tech thing, they would import people, and we call that gentrification, right? So easily could be talking about any of those cities. So this is a very relevant question for a lot of people. But let's look at the numbers. Let's not even look at the social aspect of it, right? Because we could easily talk about, okay, you move to the hood to save money, but what are you sacrificing? Of course, you're sacrificing safety. You're sacrificing infrastructure. You're sacrificing quality of life. You're sacrificing commerce, restaurants, stores, entertainment, things that would probably be of value to you don't exist in the hood per se, right? You have to leave the hood to get those things. You're probably sacrificing quality education for your children because hood schools tend not to be the better schools. So there are so many other social things, but let's just simply look at the numbers. So I'm not 100% familiar with the real estate market in St. Louis, so I had to do a little Google search. And I found that the average home is $158,000. So if we say average, that means there are a lot of homes that were a lot less that got put in there and homes that were a lot more that got put in there. So I will make the assumption that a $250,000 home in St. Louis is a pretty nice home. So let's look at this person's situation. Pays $1,350 in the suburbs. If you buy a home for $250,000, if you first-time home buyer, put 4% down, 6% closing, that's 10%, $25,000 you need to save in order to get into a new home if your credit is good because your income is good. $25,000 to get in. If you get an interest rate, 30-year fixed rate at around 3.25%, which is doable, you add in taxes and insurance, then she'll probably pay a little bit over $1,500 a month, maybe $1,550 around that, in order to live there. $1,550 is only $200 more than what she's currently paying for rent in a place that she doesn't own. And so it's not really cost prohibitive for her to buy a decent home, just paying a little bit more than what she's paying. So let's look at her intuition is telling her maybe she should buy a home in the hood. And we already talked about the social issues, don't need to harp on that, for $10,000. So a $10,000 home is going to need a lot of repair, right? And so $10,000, you're not going to get a $10,000 loan, right? You're going to have to come up with the $10,000. So instead of saving 25, okay, you save 10,000, you get into the home. A home that you get for $10,000 in the hood that's abandoned, and I'm sure anything that was worth anything was stolen from it, and it's probably been abandoned for years, so nothing's up to code, nothing's up to standard, nothing is modern in it. You're going to probably put $100,000 worth of repairs into it, right? Just like building a home from the ground up. There's not much there that's probably salvageable. So where are you going to get the $100,000? Now you have to try to get some type of construction loan. You're not going to get it at 3.25%. You're not going to get a term of 30 years. You're going to get something much shorter and much more expensive, which means your monthly payments are definitely going to be more than the $1,500 a month that you would pay for a mortgage. Not only that, it's going to take time to build it, which means you'll still be paying the $1,350 a month rent, in addition to the cost of servicing the loan. Plus, you will have to manage that project. Listen, I've never, and I've been doing real estate for a long time, been rehabbing properties a long time, never had a rehab job that I didn't have to constantly monitor. Contractors, their workers are human. Nobody wants to work hard. And if they have the ability to cut corners, they will cut corners. If they have the ability to get away with shoddy work, they will get away with shoddy work just because it's easier, right? And so that means you'll have to constantly monitor the job and know what you're looking for at the job. So, when you look at just the social aspect and the monetary aspect of it, it's not a real deal to move into the hood, especially temporarily. And when she said temporarily, I assume she'll move there temporarily and try to sell. But St. Louis is one of the fastest, I think the fastest declining city in America right now. And so it has negative growth, and it has consistent negative growth year after year. So the probability that the property value will increase over time is slim to none. So even if she did all the work and decided to try to refinance out of that other loan, she might have a difficult time. There might not be enough equity in there for any bank to want to take a chance, especially since the values there are continuing to decline. So, when we analyze things, we have to look at the numbers. We have to look at the social aspect of it. And it's not a question of whether I would move to the hood. I grew up in the hood, so I did everything I could to get out of the hood. So certainly it's not even an option for me to go back to the hood. I don't really understand. And I guess only somebody who's never really been confined to the hood would think of it as a place to go back, to go to live. So, got to look at the numbers. Got to analyze every aspect of it, what you're capable of doing. So if you don't have 25,000, just save up a little more, tighten the belt. If you had 10,000, you're not far from 25,000. So analyze your numbers all the time when you're doing real estate deals, but also look at the trends, right? So the trend of the city is decline. It's not growth. If the trend of the city was growth, and you could get a property for $10,000 and the neighborhood looked like it was coming up and the crime rates were coming down and the government was saying we're going to put money into infrastructure and we're going to, and some huge company was going to come in and say we're going to put our headquarters there and so it's going to bring up everything, then perhaps. But when you look at everything in this situation, total disrepair, total disregard, total political, neglect, every negative you can imagine to try to save money. Again, I'm not going to make the decision for you, but please consider all these things. I love the questions, guys. Keep the questions coming and comment. Let me know what you think about these videos. So comment at the bottom, share the videos, like or dislike, whatever your preference is. But keep the questions coming, and I'll see you next Tuesday.